Welcome to Max Asian. Today we're talking about the dramas coming our way, and the list is absolutely on fire. There are psychological thrillers that will keep you glued to the screen from the very first minute, romantic comedies with a twist you won't see coming, unfiltered action, genuinely unsettling horror, and a historical drama that promises to be the event of the year. From titles already out to ones still on the way, today we cover the 16 Netflix K-dramas you need to have on your radar. But before we start the video, it would mean a lot if you took a moment to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for your support. Number 16, Road. A body turns up in Tokyo with a message written in Korean. Days later, another appears in Seoul, nearly identical, but the message is in Japanese. It's not a coincidence, it's a signature. Sun Soo-koo plays the Korean detective assigned to the case, and working alongside him, forced by circumstance, is Eita Nagayama as his Tokyo counterpart. Two men from different legal systems, different cultures, different languages, forced to work together while the bodies keep appearing. As they dig deeper, what starts as a homicide investigation begins touching corporations, politics, and organized crime that operates without borders. Kim Shin-rock appears as a shadowy businessman with ties to both cities whose exact role no one can pin down. It's directed by Han Joon-hee, the same mind behind DP and Weak Hero Class 1, so the cold, methodical tone is already guaranteed. There's no confirmed date yet and it hasn't aired, but the combination of Korean and Japanese talent makes this one of the most interesting projects of the year. We'll have to see if the execution lives up to what it's promising. Number 15, Sold Out on You. An Hyoseo plays both sides of the same coin. By day, he's the CEO of a retail empire, cold, calculated, ruthless in every boardroom. By night, he disappears to a farm and grows rare ingredients with an almost obsessive dedication that no one in his company knows about. Chae Wonbin plays Dam Yejin, a home shopping host who has spent years selling everything with a perfect smile but can't sleep, literally. She's had chronic insomnia for years, and the only products that give her any peace are the ones he grows. What starts as a supplier and client relationship ends up pulling them into the same space with a lot of unresolved tension. Kim Bum enters as the rival heir, who complicates both the business side and the romantic one. The drama hasn't aired yet, but the premise of a romance built around burnout and disconnection has something genuine that sets it apart from the typical romantic comedy. The lead couple looks good in the trailer, and the story has the feel of something you'd marathon on a weekend without any regret. Number 14, Our Sticky Love. Jang Tae-ha used to be a professional boxer. Now he coaches kids in a quiet town, far from everything his life used to be. One day, Go Eun-se shows up the prosecutor from the city he knew when they were young. The same woman who was his first love, but who doesn't remember him at all, because an accident wiped that part of her memory clean. And that's where he makes the worst and best decision possible. Instead of introducing himself as a stranger, he tells her they're dating. Young Hae-in carries that character with his signature mix of tough exterior and exposed heart. And Ha-young brings fresh energy as a prosecutor, lost between her professional life and feelings she can't trace back to anything. The lie pulls them into forced cohabitation, and from there the story builds the romance with real patience. The premise isn't new, but both leads on screen together deliver a lot. There's no exact premiere date yet, and it hasn't aired, so we'll have to see if the script keeps its pace or drags in the middle episodes, which is always the risk with this kind of romance. Number 13, Tantara. It all starts in 1960s Korea, with two young people who have nothing, no money, no family name, no connections, but an ambition that doesn't fit inside the small world they were born into. Minja dreams of music at a time when a woman of her background shouldn't even dare. By her side, Dong-gu, her lifelong friend, enters the Korean entertainment industry alongside her, navigating a brutal system that crushes anyone who arrives without pedigree. The story follows them across 20 years, from the underground corners of the art scene all the way to the spotlights of the 80s, when Korea was just beginning to discover what the world would later call Hallyu. It's the first time Song Hye-kyo and Gong Yoo share a screen, and that alone makes it an event. Behind it is No Hee-kyung, the writer of That Winter, The Wind Blows, with Lee Yoon-jung directing the same creative duo behind Gong Yoo's Coffee Prince. It hasn't aired yet, but the trailer landed well and the premise has everything it needs to be one of the K-dramas of the year. We'll have to wait to see if the execution matches the hype. Number 12. Take Charge of My Heart. Baek Ho-rang lives with an artificial heart that's running out of power. Not a metaphor, completely literal. Kim Young-kwang plays that character with the constant tension of someone who knows time is running out and that conventional medicine has no answers left. The solution arrives in the form of Na Bobai, a woman who got struck by lightning and was left with the ability to generate electricity. Chae Subin plays her with that perfect chaotic energy of someone who doesn't quite know what to do with what her body can do. A contract forces them to stay close because she is literally the only power source keeping him alive. And from there, the drama builds everything else. Corporate tension, competing interests, and feelings nobody planned for. The concept is inventive, and the lead couple has real potential. It hasn't aired yet, and there's no exact date, so the real question is whether the script can balance the romance and the sci-fi without either one feeling forced. I have faith in this one, but we'll have to wait to confirm it. Number 11. The Scandal. Lady Cho is suffocating. In the Joseon dynasty, a woman with her intelligence has nowhere to put it, so she puts it where she can in games. She challenges Cho Won, the most celebrated seducer in the nobility, to conquer a virtuous widow no one has ever broken through. Sun Ye-jin builds Lady Cho with that calculated coldness that hides something much deeper, and Ji Chang-wook arrives as the playboy who accepts the bet without realizing the rules are about to change on him. Nana plays the innocent woman trapped in the middle of a game she never asked to be part of. What starts as an exercise in power and aristocratic boredom slowly becomes something none of the three could control. It's an adaptation of the French film Dangerous Liaison set in historical Korea, and the source material is solid. Sun Ye-jin and Ji Chang-wook together on screen generates enormous anticipation, though there's no exact date yet, and it hasn't aired. The trailer looks stunning, and the tone feels dark in exactly the right way. We could be looking at one of the strongest historical romances of the year. Number 10. Mousetrap. Jae Moon-jae has spent years hiding from the world. He's a writer, lives in isolation, and has very few things to his name, which is basically the only thing tying him to his own identity. One day, he tries to unlock his phone and the fingerprint recognition fails. His closest friend disappears. And piece by piece, he discovers that someone called The Rat has stolen everything. His name, his accounts, his relationships, his entire history. Not just his money, his whole life. Ryu Junyeol carries that character with the desperation of someone who is slowly ceasing to exist within the system. To get it all back, he forms an alliance with No Ja, the loan shark who used to chase him for debt, played by Sul Kyung-gu, because sometimes the only person who can help you is the last one you'd expect. It's an adaptation of the webtoon Field Mouse, directed by Kim Hong-seon. The two leads together already guarantee tension. It hasn't aired yet, and script details are under wraps, but an identity theft story treated as noir feels genuinely fresh. The expectations here are well placed. Number 9. If Wishes Could Kill. A group of high school students discovers an app called Girigo that grants wishes. At first, they treat it like a game asking for small, silly things, the kind teenagers ask for when they feel like the world isn't listening. The problem is that every wish carries an irreversible rebound, and when a classmate dies, they realize there's no uninstall button. Kang Mina plays the popular girl who uses it as a tool for social power without measuring the consequences, and Baek Sung-hyun is the boyfriend who gets caught in the fallout she creates. The story isn't just horror, it's a direct critique of social media validation culture, where teenage ambition collides with consequences no one anticipated. It's directed by the team behind Moving in Kingdom, which already says a lot about the production level to expect. It's Netflix's first Korean young adult horror series and still has no exact date. The trailer hit hard, and the premise has everything it needs to be uncomfortable in exactly the right way. Number 8. Dead End Job. Hyuk-jun is buried in debt with no way out when a job offer appears that pays 50 times the normal hourly wage. Lee Jae-wook plays that character with the exact mix of desperation and naivety of someone who knows something doesn't add up but accepts anyway because he has no other choice. The employment agency is called Spider, and the tasks it assigns are at best strange and at worst straight out of a nightmare. Go Min-si arrives as a workplace accident investigator who starts crossing paths with the cases Spider leaves behind, and Lee Hee-jin plays the agency's boss with that energy of a character you're never sure is fully human from the moment he first appears. It's directed by Kim Da-min, the same director behind A Killer Paradox, with Han Joon-hee as executive producer. The combination of talent in front of and behind the camera is solid. It hasn't aired yet, but a horror fantasy allegory about precarious labor and disposable workers has everything it needs to be one of the surprises of the year. Number 7. The East Palace. Gu Shan can cross into the world of ghosts. Not just see them, he can transform into the spirits he eliminates. Nam Joo-hyuk returns after his military service with that character, a ghost hunter summoned by the king to resolve something that has been rotting the palace from the inside for generations. San Gang is the court lady who hears the voices of the dead, played by Ro Yoon-seo, and together they are the only ones who can infiltrate the darkest levels of the palace without anyone suspecting a thing. Cho Sung-woo plays the king who knows more than he lets on, which adds a layer of political intrigue to what is already visually heavy and dark. 8 episodes with Joseon Gothic aesthetics, blending horror and royal court mystery with a spirit transformation concept that hasn't been seen in this format before. It hasn't aired yet and information is still limited, but the trailer made it very clear Netflix didn't hold back on production. This one has all the makings of a standout. Number 6. Notes from the Last Row. Heo Muno has spent years pretending he doesn't care. He's a literature professor, blunt, direct, carrying a failed writing career and a resentment that travels everywhere with him. Choi Min-sik builds him with that heavyweight authority only he knows how to deliver, the kind of man who humiliates without raising his voice. Everything changes when Lee Kang, an engineering student who always sits in the last row, hands in a piece of writing that stops him cold. It's not just good, it's disturbing. The text reads like it was pulled from real situations in the neighborhood, things no one should know about. Choi Hyun-wook plays the student with that stillness that always hides something deeper. The professor begins tutoring him privately, and what starts as the discovery of a talent turns into a psychological game where neither of them holds full control. Jung Hae-in and Ha Young appear in supporting roles. It's an adaptation of the Spanish play, The Boy in the Last Row, and Choi Min-sik with that material has everything he needs to deliver one of the best performances of the year. The trailer unsettles in the best way. Number 5. Teach You a Lesson. The Educational Rights Protection Bureau exists because the school system reached a breaking point where no one knows who's in charge anymore. Teachers have no authority, parents shield their kids from everything, and some students operate inside schools with an impunity that no law seems able to touch. Kim Moo-yul plays Na Wa-jin, the supervisor who walks into that chaos with state immunity and one very clear conviction: dialogue is no longer enough. He's not a reckless vigilante, he's someone who works within the system, but with tools the normal system doesn't allow. Lee Sung-min, Jin Ki-ju, and P.O. complete a team navigating administrative corruption and student hierarchies that have become genuine power structures. It's based on the webtoon Get Schooled, and the tone feels closer to an action thriller than a conventional school drama. It hasn't aired yet, but the premise touches something real. The collapse of authority in Korean schools is an active debate. A series tackling it with this level of direct confrontation is already interesting before a single episode airs. Number 4. Bloodhounds. Gunwoo and Woojin already dismantled an illegal loan shark network in Season 1. Now the enemy is bigger. A global underground boxing league led by Baek Jung, a character as physically imposing as he is methodically ruthless. Rain steps into that villain role for the first time in his career, and from the trailer alone, it's clear he didn't come to make a cameo. He came to destroy. Woo Do-hwan and Lee Sung-yi return with the same bromance dynamic that made the first season work so well, but this time the ground is more dangerous, the rivals are on another level, and the stakes are literally global. Season 1 was one of the most solid Korean action series Netflix has produced, with fight choreography that prioritized physical realism over effects. Season 2 bets on expanding that scale without losing what made it work. There's no exact date yet within the second quarter, but the level of expectation is completely justified. The final episodes of Season 1 didn't disappoint, and there are real reasons to believe this season can outdo its predecessor. Number 3. Boyfriend on Demand. Seo Mirei works too much and hasn't had a real love life in a long time. One day, she gets access to Monthly Boyfriend, a subscription-based dating simulation where she can go out with virtual boyfriends perfectly designed to give her exactly what she wants. Blackpink's Jisoo arrives with her first Netflix lead role, bringing a character with that mix of modern exhaustion and dormant romanticism that's incredibly easy to connect with. The problem and the twist is that the virtual boyfriend model she ends up falling for turns out to be based on Park Hyungnam, her co-worker and office rival, played by Seo In-guk. What was a perfect escape becomes something she can no longer ignore in real life. What puts this series in the top 3 is that it lands at exactly the right moment. It speaks to digital loneliness, love on demand, and what happens when the fantasy you built collides with what's right in front of you. The cast has great energy, the virtual date settings are visually creative, and the romantic comedy never feels forced. Seo In-guk in Enemies to Lovers mode is exactly what this story needed. Number 3. Boyfriend on Demand. Seo Mirei works too much and hasn't had a real love life in a long time. One day, she gets access to Monthly Boyfriend, a subscription-based dating simulation where she can go out with virtual boyfriends perfectly designed to give her exactly what she wants. Blackpink's Jisoo arrives with her first Netflix lead role, bringing a character with that mix of modern exhaustion and dormant romanticism that's incredibly easy to connect with. The problem and the twist is that the virtual boyfriend model she ends up falling for turns out to be based on Park Hyungnam, her co-worker and office rival, played by Seo In-guk. What was a perfect escape becomes something she can no longer ignore in real life. What puts this series in the top 3 is that it lands at exactly the right moment. It speaks to digital loneliness, love on demand, and what happens when the fantasy you built collides with what's right in front of you. The cast has great energy, the virtual date settings are visually creative, and the romantic comedy never feels forced. Seo In-guk in Enemies to Lovers mode is exactly what this story needed. Number 1. The Art of Sarah. Sarah Kim has spent years building a life that doesn't belong to her. To the outside world, she's the regional director of an exclusive luxury brand that only sells to the top 0.1% of Korea. The woman who walks into the most closed-off spaces in Seoul as if she was born into them. But when a body turns up in a storm drain with her designer bag, Detective Park Moo-gyung starts pulling the thread, and what he finds isn't a victim, it's a ghost. Sarah Kim doesn't exist in any official record. She has no clear history, no single stable identity, and she's lived under at least 5 different names, each one more glamorous and dangerous than the last. Shin Hae-sun builds this character in layers, fragile on the inside, armored on the outside without a single moment feeling performed. It takes the number 1 spot because it's already out, and we can confirm it. This is the strongest K-drama premiere Netflix has delivered so far this year. The first 7 episodes hold a cinematic rhythm and visual direction that isn't common in the Korean series format. The finale loses a bit of the force the rest of the run had built, like finishing a puzzle, only to find the centerpiece is slightly off. But that doesn't take away from the fact that this is exactly the kind of production that shows how far K-drama can go when there's real talent behind it. Number 1, no debate. This year has a lineup of K-dramas we haven't seen in a long time, from romances with creative premises to thrillers that will keep you up at night. There's something for everyone, and there's still so much more to come. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming content. See you in the next video.